All right, everyone. CNN has now declared open hostility towards white males. They did this for a reason. They didn't just say whites, because then if you take white males and white females and they coalesce into a voting bloc, it's still like 68% of the population of the United States. That wouldn't be good for globalism because they might become populistic. They might even become nationalists. That'd be a problem. So they have to focus on just white males, leave females out of the equation. Now in the future, if demographic shift continues, they'll lump women in with that same group, and then they'll lump other groups in to eliminate them essentially one by one and denigrate them. The hope of any political group that has sanity is to amalgamate at least 51% of the population under your sort of banners. It can be difficult to do this because you've used identity politics so long you've fractured people apart into all sorts of different groups. So they say, for instance, they say people of color now instead of just black or just Hispanic or Native American or Asian or something like that. They differentiate white males from white females as part of their propaganda tactics. The new shilling tactic, by the way, is something people on 4chan especially should know. Probably Reddit and other places too. The new tactic is that they attempt to insinuate that any right-leaning female, you think, take your pick, doesn't matter who it is actually there just for attention-seeking, can't possibly have genuine views. And people are, I think it's kind of failing anyway. I tried to point this out to people last night, and I'm pointing it out here so you can be inoculated against this particular propaganda tactic. And that is what it is. These are shills that are spreading. It's not an organic movement. It springs up all of a sudden. There's a reason for that. It's obvious. They moved past trying to just target right-wingers in general because it wasn't working. So now they try to fracture people apart along a gender line. Because if you can get right-wing males and right-wing females, or I should say anti-left males and females to attack one another, makes it easier for globalism and multicultural diversity crap and leftism in general. Makes it very easy. What they do is simply insinuate that any right-leaning female, any female that's, traditionalist, conservative, nationalistic, whatever, is just doing it for attention to get like a date or to get money or something like that. They never will supply. You'll see two things in common whenever this situation occurs. There will never be an attack on a globalist figure within the same context. Never happen. Number two, they will never give specific examples of why they think these individuals are shills, or why they think these individuals are just doing it for attention or for money or fame or something like that. They will never give examples because if they start giving examples, they can be rebutted more easily. Simple propaganda. Propaganda 001. Doesn't even rise to Propaganda 101. It's the tactic that's currently in swing. The reason they're doing this is because anti-left individuals started bragging about the fact that white females abandoned globalism in the last election here. That's why they're doing it. And they're terrified in Europe, too, that European females will coalesce with European males as part of an anti-left front there to stop the EU. That's why this is happening. It's a shilling tactic that involves multiple organizations. It's clear. It's not a theory. It's a true concept. If you've studied linguistics, you can sort of tell it's scripted just as prior attacks have been. But the corporate media, the legacy media here, is certainly on board with this idea. They're running interference for globalism. When we talk about globalism, when we talk about their overarching desire to essentially rule all the world's wealth, that's what it's really about. It's about money and the power that goes along with money. We can't use the term leftist only. We have to use the term globalist. Because people who have billed themselves as conservatives, the Bush family, the McCains and Lindsey Grahams, Merkel supposedly as a conservative, which is laughable, some of the other conservative movements in Europe especially as well. They're globalists too. George W. Bush, supposedly conservative, thought, lowering taxes 3% is a real fiscal conservatism. Yeah, that's wonderful. Real limited government, now with 3% less waste, fraud, and abuse. What a wonderful reform. What a great overhaul of the system. Oh shit, I just killed 500,000 people over in some third world country for the benefit of Halliburton and a few of these other corporations, and Raytheon, some other arms dealers and mercenary groups. They're globalists. It's strictly what they are. Russia's run by globalists. You don't think their expansionism is a form of globalism too? It's just a competing one. It's the same fucking shit. China does it all the time. Oh, this whole ocean is ours. Fuck off, Vietnamese people and Japan. No, South China Sea has our name on it, you know. And then they decry it when India says, oh, well, maybe the Indian Ocean belongs to us. Yeah, this is our backyard. China actually explicitly called them out on that. There are multiple competing globalist fronts in the world because globalism maximizes the efficiency of stealing wealth from people and giving it to private shareholders and political individuals. That's why globalism is in effect. Doesn't work for the average person. Ultimately, if you have a lack of globalism, it doesn't matter whether you're more to the left or more to the right. You have sovereignty. You have the possibility of advancement. You have a system which is less corrupt. There'll always be corruption and propaganda, but it's at an order of magnitude less of it outside of globalism. Globalism is in swing because globalists profit by it. Private population, nope, they don't profit. Small businesses, no. Other countries, no, they get bombed usually if they step out of line. That's what globalism is really about. It's about bloodshed and death. When Merkel says, ooh, we're going to have an EU army and things will be so peaceful and wonderful when we eliminate borders altogether, you can be sure that means war is coming. That's what globalists always do. They'll bomb somebody. If you're a pacifist in Europe looking at the U.S. and evil imperialist, Trump is evil, you're going to become the same thing that you hate. Do you even know that? Do you realize it? No, the shills, in association with the legacy media, don't want men and women to coalesce together. They do this for, like, the black population all the time. They say, oh, look at those evil white oppressors over there. They're making your lives miserable. Now, who are the white oppressors that they always point to? Private citizens. Some random idiot who lynches somebody. Some random idiot who shoots a black man who is unarmed or something, or a police force. Do they ever point out, yes, the political situation is such that you can't get ahead, your inner city got screwed by interventionist globalist policies, and that's what it's really about? No, blame the little white people. They'll go to a white population, in a backdoor way, because they don't want, the legacy media doesn't want to seem like it's anything other than anti-white, I guess, at this point. They'll go to white people and say, oh, look, Hispanic people are taking your jobs. Yeah, just ignore the fact that the government is laying the groundwork for the illegal immigration that we're blaming the whole problem on. No, focus on the symptoms. Don't ever focus on the disease of bad government, of globalist corruption and abuse. Don't focus on that, people. Focus on gender wars. Focus on MGTOW. Focus on, black versus white or native citizen versus immigrant or something like that. People would probably get along if it weren't for the propaganda of the globalists. These yellow journalists are public enemy #1 when it comes to causing violence. Meanwhile, while they're blaming some video game company who was part of their clickbait campaign, or some violent movie, or some small organization that, killed one person 20 years ago, they're the root of all evil. Just ignore the fact that the corporate press, for instance, on the eve of the Iraq War said, oh yeah, we must invade, they're gonna get nukes, oh, we gotta go kill people, it'll be okay, we're toppling a dictator. And then they ask us to trust them. This is the sort of crap you're gonna get from CNN from now on. And by the way, you can get it from Fox too. When Fox talks about an issue, they will always spin it, they will always implant their bias in there so that their largely white audience ends up blaming some random Hispanic wearing a sombrero, some random black man or something like that. Just ignore the collusion of high-level government officials with multinational corporations that have zero credibility when it comes to having any loyalty to this country, because they're all based in various countries. No, the real problem of the world, multinational corporations, big banks that screw over every population they can lay their hands on, and big government, warmongering and corruption. Those are your problems. The private citizens of the entire world would largely live at peace in their absence. What we need is less government. That's why I consider myself, marginally speaking, a libertarian, and at the same time, a civic nationalist. These cultures need to maintain and defend sovereignty to prevent globalism. It's as clear as that. You need assimilation that goes on. You need to defend your culture. That's every culture. I don't want to see an African culture destroyed any more than I want to see a European culture destroyed. And if I want to go and appreciate their culture, I'll go to their fucking country and I'll appreciate their culture there. But the globalists say that's bigoted. It's bigoted to want to leave people alone, to not give brain drain to the third world and keep them crummy and miserable and low infrastructure, undeveloped. It's bigotry to want them to succeed on their own merits. It's bigotry to want to succeed on your own merits. It's bigotry to see yourself as an individual, not some fucking collectivized group a la communism. That's bigotry now. You can't, people shouldn't see themselves as individuals. You should feel guilty about what happened 300-400 fucking years ago. With people you never met, you never can meet, that are long dead. They've been in the ground. They're nothing more than dusty bones, maybe a pile of ashes at this point. Feel guilty about it. Or maybe you should feel, sometimes they'll tell you to feel pride for their achievements. No, I'm going to feel pride for my own achievements. My ancestors, yeah, ancestral lineage, it's all well and good. Spiritualism and sort of family totems, ancestor worship. Okay, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you gotta be a good individual yourself. You take initiative, do what you can. But can you do this under globalism? Or do you pay 40-50% of everything that you make to some government that makes unilateral decisions, screws other people in the world, raises their ire at you as a private individual, then spews propaganda about how you should do the same? That's how globalism works. It's about fracturing people while saying publicly you want togetherness. You want tolerance, but you tell people to be intolerant towards one another for political gain. That's globalism. That's what we're fighting against in this world. In its absence, it doesn't matter if a person is black or white. They'll keep to their culture, they'll defend their culture, they'll have pride in their culture, and they're not screwing anybody else over, and they're not expecting to be screwed over by anybody else. That is not bigotry. Bigotry is saying everybody should be homogenized. There should be no culture. There should be no borders in the world so that nobody feels any pangs of regret when abuse goes on. To let the government keep leeching off you like a parasite. That's bigotry. That's stupidity. That's warmongering. The globalists cause wars. Some random private citizen never caused a war. Never happened. Governments do. Organized religious bodies, when they overlap with government, they do. Large private corporations do it to ingratiate themselves to people's wallets, to get more state, handouts, to get corporate welfare. That's where these things come from. If you're supporting something like the EU, a globalist cause, you are pro-war. You are pro-intolerance because you want to wipe culture off the face of the earth, both yours and every other. There's your problem. And this needs to be pointed out more. When CNN comes out and says, oh, too many white men in this picture, it's race baiting. Try to get whites angry so that they go off and the same media groups will helpfully suggest that they target like random black people or random Hispanics so they win there. And then at the same time they can go to the people of color that they brand, who are from totally different backgrounds. It's like, do they even understand there are multiple tribes in Africa, multiple different types of Asians? Like, they would want to conflate someone from Tibet with somebody from Japan, say, oh, they're just Asian. It's a bunch of bullshit. And they'll go to them and say, oh, haha, look at these stupid white people over here. There are too many white people in this picture. Don't you feel left out? Don't you feel screwed or something like that? It's what they do. So it's very dishonest. It's propaganda. There, now you know. Now you're inoculated against that bullcrap. That's about all. Peace out.